All right. Well, thank you everyone for hopping in. The topic for today is we'll be covering cross-account observability, and this will be led by Abitha Bala, who's the Senior Product Manager for CloudWatch Logs, and myself, Michael Wishart, the Go-to-Market Specialist for Observability and Governance. I'm really excited to share with you the work that we've done with CloudWatch to date and how this can help customers with their observability needs. So a quick walk through the agenda. I don't want to keep you all from learning about the fun aspects of cross-account observability. So I'll spend the first 10 to 15 minutes just covering a quick overview of Amazon CloudWatch, as well as highlight some of the recent launches that we've experienced to date. And then after 10 to 15 minutes, I'll let Abitha introduce herself and then take the lead for the majority of the rest of the session. So Amazon CloudWatch, I'm really excited that this is our marquee observability platform for customers operating on AWS and non-AWS, as well as on on-prem environments. The purpose of observability is to be able to understand how your system is performing. And the reason for that is because no matter how well architected your environment might be, issues occur. And so when those issues happen, it takes time to, one, detect what the issue is, or sorry, detect that an issue occurred, two, identify what the issue is, and then three, eventually resolve it. So those components of detection, identification, and resolution, those are the components of mean time to resolution. So if you're a business that has a customer-facing application, it is critical to minimize that mean time to resolution, so that way your end customers will not experience poor performance, and therefore that will drive more revenue and more customer adoption for your internal and external facing applications. And at AWS, we aim to provide cloud-native options for customers to minimize their mean time to resolution, so that way they can be successful leveraging cloud technologies. And so that's a big reason why we have CloudWatch. So the purpose of this slide, we won't have time to get too much into it, but with CloudWatch, this is a platform to allow you to gain end-to-end observability across your infrastructure, your application, your end user experience, and your internet network. So we'll quickly run through this slide to cover the main topics. Starting from the bottom, when we think about instrumentation and observability, you need to get logs, metrics, and traces to have adequate observability through these three different types of telemetry data. And this can be achieved with the CloudWatch agent, which gathers metrics and logs, as well as your X-ray agent, which gathers your traces. And those provide cloud-native agents to gather your metrics, logs, and traces on a single platform. Alternatively, we have compatibility with OpenTelemetry, with Amazon distro for OpenTelemetry agent, affectionately known as ADOT. And this allows customers that want to adhere to the OpenTelemetry standards to gather metrics, logs, and traces that are compatible with OpenTelemetry. So that's how you can get your telemetry data that provides the foundation for observability. We hear from customers that opportunity for improvement with AWS tools largely resolves with our visualization capabilities. So we're really excited to make improvements there with our dashboarding, as well as with cross-account observability, which you'll see later today. And then providing customers with the insights needed through mechanisms like container insights and Lambda insights, which provides additional insights into your modern infrastructure environments like containers and Lambda, as well as contributor insights and application insights, which provides visibility into your application and the top contributors to the performance of your applications. And most recently, LiveTail, which gives visibility into real-time logs coming into your environment. And lastly, we want to provide customers the visibility into how their applications are being experienced by the end user. So we've recently launched application signals, which I'll go into briefly in a second, as well as synthetics and RUM, which provide visibility into how the end user is experiencing the performance of web page applications and being able to simulate that before you deploy those applications in the real world. So we're really excited that with CloudWatch, it provides a scalable solution. CloudWatch is used by Amazon.com, so that gives you an idea of the scale that the service is able to operate. So whether you're a startup or a global enterprise, CloudWatch is a service that can help you with your observability needs. And if there's areas where you're seeing gaps, notify your AWS representative and also work with them to see if there's a partner solution that can meet those needs as well, given we have a wide ecosystem of observability partners that can support our customers too. Moving along, just to reiterate the benefits of CloudWatch, it's a fully managed service that's scalable. It's also able to aggregate telemetry data, not just from your AWS environment, where we have over 100 integrations, but also with other cloud providers, as well as with your on-prem environments. So this is great for customers that are operating on hybrid and multi-cloud environments. We not only provide out-of-the-box insights with dashboards, but also advanced analytics with machine learning and generative AI capabilities, which we're continuing to invest in. So I want to spend the next 3 minutes just talking about how we're continuing to innovate in the space. So I'm not going to go into details here, but the main takeaway from this slide is that historically we've been investing in this product, but at a cadence of about one major launch per year, which is the frequency that you're seeing on this page. And then as cloud native observability becomes increasingly important for our customers, the business has opted to increasingly innovate in the space. And so you'll see that in 2022 and 2023, we've increased the frequency of launches and capabilities with things like cross-account observability, as well as with live analytics with LiveTail to make it easier for customers to leverage cloud-native services for their observability needs. And really excited that to date, we've went from having about one launch per year around observability, and most recently we've had over 10 launches. So we're really excited about some of the progress we're making in innovation. And we also, if you're a customer that's under NDA, feel free to reach out to your contact to see if you can learn more about how we're thinking about these services in the future from a roadmap perspective. But highlighting some of the recent updates. So for streamlined collection, we're making it easier for customers to have more flexibility in terms of the data sources that they can gather telemetry data from, not just from AWS resources, but you can also have multi-cloud and hybrid support for metrics with CloudWatch today. And then also we give customers flexibility from a log perspective in terms of what type of log tier they want to use, where if you want the more advanced functionality of logs, you pay the standard rate. But if you don't need all the advanced functionality of logs, you can have access to logs without the advanced functionality at a lower price. We're improving our analytics with enhanced machine learning capabilities for log analytics, as well as incorporating generative AI into our querying capabilities as well to make it easier for customers to onboard with natural language querying capabilities. And then lastly, on the right-hand side, continuing to help customers get out-of-the-box insights across their infrastructure and application layer of their technology stack with enhanced container insights, which is currently available for Java applications on EKS, as well as with application signals, which provides out-of-the-box visibility into critical business metrics such as SLOs for your business-critical application. And so with enhanced container insights and application signals, This is one example of how we're continuing to improve end-to-end observability for our customers. And I believe that will cover my section, and it's just on time. So I will keep presenting from the background, but Abitha will be leading the remainder of this section. So feel free to chime in if you have any questions in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to it. But I'll yield the floor to Abitha for this portion.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. Hey, folks. Thanks for joining in today. I'm Abitha Bala. I'm a senior product manager with Amazon CloudWatch with focus on logs. So today we'll dive deeper into cross-account observability. Next slide. Okay, so Amazon launched cross-account observability at our reInvent in November 2022. This essentially provides a unified single pane of glass observability experience across our multiple AWS accounts. Our AWS best practices guides customers to deploy applications across multiple AWS accounts. This is to establish a security and billing boundaries between teams, reduce the impact of operational events by isolating resources. But this also creates a challenge from an observability perspective. This is because as enterprises grow and scale, the data gets scattered across increasing number of accounts. This creates distributed data siloed, which makes it hard to get the holistic view and a single pane of glass observability and visibility across the organization. In most of the cases, critical observability data gets migrated into its various tools in order to discover, analyze, and probably visualize the cross-account telemetry. This leads to extra effort, leading to significant overhead and costs. And when this is not migrated and operated on, say, per account basis, it eliminates the correlation capability across cross-team telemetry data. This could lead to longer mean time to resolution and also lower operator satisfaction. This is the reason we introduced and launched our cross-account observability. We continue to suggest using our AWS best practices to deploy applications across multiple AWS accounts, but we introduced a game changer featuring with the monitoring capability, which is the Amazon CloudWatch cross-account observability. Again, we launched this feature at reInvent. I will go over the features that we have launched since the time we launched at reInvent. You can seamlessly search, visualize, analyze your cross-account metrics, logs, traces, as if you were operating in a single account without any account boundaries. We recently added monitors and internet monitoring apps and application insights to the monitoring account as well. So you can monitor all of this from a centralized single pane of glass. Next slide. So here are some of the benefits that you get from CloudWatch cross-account observability. It delivers a bird's eye view of your multi-account organization to centrally search, analyze, and visualize your telemetry data. It delivers a better central observability experience than what you have today. It is easy to set up. Just define probably your source accounts, link them to each other, and that's it. Cross-account observability comes with no extra cost for logs and metrics. Only for traces, the first trace copy is delivered for free at no extra cost. Any trace copy that is sent to additional monitoring accounts are billed to the source account. Moving on to the next slide. So with the monitoring account, how many of us as members of, say, a central operations team or central security team are looking to troubleshoot an issue that impacted a data that was, say, lying across 30 to 50 of your accounts? I'm sure I assume the answer is pretty frequently, right? And the problem that we often run into is not having access to the right data, not having the right permissions to run the right queries, or not having all the data stitched together to give you the right answer and more. So cross-account observability here helps solve all of that. One of the things that we introduced as part of the feature is the concept of monitoring account. And what does monitoring account do? Monitoring account is essentially a centralized view to see data which lies across so many of your individual accounts, which we are calling as source accounts. And this is a terminology that we will use as we demo as well. So we have a monitoring account that sits on top, and then these source accounts that you have are linked to the monitoring account. What a lot of customers have to do today is, because of the account boundaries, they have to create an additional central repository for data, which often leads to higher cost and duplication. So without you having to do that, you can just share what data you want to share with your monitoring account. We don't move the data. You can just share what information that you want to have from your logs, metrics, traces, application insights, or internet monitor, and those are visible in your monitoring account. And we strongly believe that this is a way more efficient way to achieve centralized observability. Moving on to the next slide. Here are some of the key features that we have launched with cross-account observability. In 2022, we launched this feature where you can search for log groups stored across multiple accounts from a central view, run cross-account logs insights queries, and create contributor insights rules across accounts to identify top-end contributors generating log entries. With Service Lens, you can also view an interactive map of your cross-account application with one-step drill downs to relevant metrics, logs, traces. In 2023, with metric streams, you can create a continuous near real time stream of metrics to any destination of your choice. With this capability, you can include metrics that span across, say, multiple AWS accounts within an AWS region into a single metric stream. We launched Livetail in 2023, and we included Livetail support for cross-account observability as well. The cross-account supports service quotas in cross-account observability, allowing customers to track, visualize resource utilization and limits across various AWS services. You can also monitor and troubleshoot application environments that span across multiple accounts within the same region using Amazon CloudWatch application insights. And this is what we launched in 2023. And you also have the return cross-account metrics using Metrics Insight Query. With this launch, you can use Metrics Insights to monitor and troubleshoot applications that span across multiple accounts within the same region. We also enable cross-account observability for container insights, where cross-account observability across EKS to help you monitor and troubleshoot applications that span across multiple AWS accounts. In 2024, since the beginning of the year, we have launched the following: the cross-account anomaly detection on metrics shared across your accounts. So this helps you track unexpected changes in metric behavior across multiple accounts from a single monitoring account through cross-account observability. We also included the support for Internet Monitor in 2024, where you can set up cross-account observability for CloudWatch Internet Monitor so that you can get read-only access to your monitors from multiple accounts. The most recent launch that we had, I believe a couple of weeks ago, was the ability to filter your metrics and logs shared by source account with the monitoring account. So prior to the launch of this feature, you had the option to only share all of your logs, your log groups and metric namespaces. But post this launch, you will be able to select which of your logs and metrics that you would want to share to your monitoring account from the source account. Now let's move on to the demo.
So Vita, some quick questions if you're able to speak to it. Otherwise, we'll follow up accordingly.
Sure.
So one is, the most recent question is, does it create duplicate log data in the monitoring account?
That's a great question. No, it does not. So what monitoring account does, it just shares with source account. You can share the logs, metrics that you want to be shared to the monitoring account. It does not copy or move your data. So in short, there is no data duplication.
Terrific. And then an additional question, and this might be outside of your scope of expertise, but there's one question on, if we are using Control Tower with on mandatory logging accounts, we can make that account as monitoring account as well and connect the rest as source account. Would you be able to speak to that?
I believe the answer is yes, but again, I'm not an expert with Control Tower. I'm going to take that as a follow-up and probably get back to you with the response.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Any other questions?
There's some, but we'll try to handle those offline, and then that way you can get to the demo given time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, perfect. So you can see my screen. So this is essentially my own account. What I'm going to do is show you where or how you can set up your cross account from your AWS account. So you go to settings in CloudWatch, and here is where you see the global view of where you can configure, determine how to link your source account via CloudFormation or by sharing URL, and then browse cross account data. So in this case, I want to configure this particular account as my monitoring account. So what I do is I click on configure, and here you have the option to select the data. One thing to note is I'm on US East, North Virginia, US East 1. So whatever data I share or set up as a monitoring account for this particular one, I need to ensure all of my source accounts of US East 1 is where the data gets shared from. So you can select whatever you want to in terms of sharing the data, and then you list the source account which you want to set this up for. In this particular case, I'm going to use this source account. And then you have an option to define a label to help identify your source account. So you have a couple of options here, either by account name or global unique email, email without domain, or custom label. I'm going to stick to the default option of account name. And like I mentioned before, the cross account configuration will be available only in the region, North Virginia. And then I hit configure. So now this is successfully configured on the monitoring account side. When I click here, I also can view what gets shared from my source account to monitoring account. One important aspect of cross account is once you configure it in your monitoring account, you need to set the configuration in your source account as well. So in this particular case, I'm going to click on resource to link source account. And here there are two options to be able to do it. One, the preferred way, which is the AWS organization, which is recommended automated onboarding process for new accounts as they are added to the org, or any account if you want to select an individual source account which does not belong to any AWS org. So let me click on download the template. So we have the template here. What I'm going to do next is go to my source account. I'll be logged out from this account as I log into my source account. Let me move my source account to the screen. Now I go to CloudFormation because I selected that as my option of how I wanted to do. And then I go to create stack, view new resources standard, and then I have a template. So I just need to upload the template here. And again, I'm making sure it's in North Virginia region. Stack name is cross account. Next. Oops. And I'm going to leave the default options as is. It's create in progress. And you can see the link got created. So now this particular account, if I go to CloudWatch, and now I go to settings, I go to view linked monitoring account, the account that we just started off with, which was this one, is now part of the linked monitoring account. So this is how you can set up a sync and link between a monitoring and source account. And if you recall, I shared all of the data initially with the monitoring account. One thing to note is there is a limit on the number of source accounts, linked monitoring accounts to a source account. So you can only link 5 monitoring accounts to the source account, but you can set up a monitoring account with 100,000 source accounts. That is one thing to note. And the other thing that I do want to share, probably I will walk through an example of an account, which is a monitoring account as well as a source account. So then what happens? There might be a common question on, do we share all the data that is shared to the monitoring account when it's set up as a source account for some other monitoring account? The answer is no, because only the log groups that's associated with a particular account get shared to another account. So if a particular account is both monitoring and source, um, it will not share the accounts from where the source account shared to the downstream. So it just stays within the particular account. I hope I didn't confuse and I was clear there. But moving back, let me show you something with the feature that we launched. So we have a view linked account, right? Here is the everywhere. And like I said, initially you had the option to only share all of your logs metrics in the past, but now you have the option to edit resources. What this gives you is an option to be able to share all logs, or if you do not want to share all logs, then you can filter. In the source account, you have two views, which is the editor view or the builder view. In the editor, you have the sample queries of how you can bring it in and then write your own queries here. In the builder view, you have a couple of options to select from, like equals, does not equal, contain, does not contain, start with, does not start with. So say if I do equal this, what this does is once I set it up, only this log group gets shared to the monitoring account. I am not limited to sharing all my log groups. So I take control of which log groups I want to share. We have had customers in the past who want to segregate it by, say, all the Lambda logs go to a particular monitoring account so that they query, like however you want to set it up based on your use case. This gives you the flexibility to be able to do. Same thing with metrics as well. You have all metrics, filter metrics. You can filter by metrics namespace, or you can use the editor view to be able to do that. So in the source account, if you view here, it just looks like how you would see it normally. Now let us go to the monitoring account where we set this up as a source account to show how the view looks. Again, I'm going to log out from this and log back in my monitoring account view. So if I go to CloudWatch log group.
And Avitha,
Yeah.
just a couple quick questions. With regards to the, we had a question around if we can enable all accounts and all regions within an organization without having to iterate through configuring regions one by one. If you're able to, I guess, speak to that.
That is a great question. So at this point, you can configure all of your accounts to just one region. There is no cross-region concept within logs or metrics yet. And again, like
Sure.
if that is a pain point, we will work towards prioritizing it. But at this point, we don't have it.
Understood. And at the same time, customers are able to, filter by region within the account, correct?
That is correct. So one thing that I did want to like briefly touch upon now that the cross-region, cross-account came up is there is an option for you to view cross-account, cross-region. So what this does is it gives you, like say, I show, save changes. Like there is a way for you to be able to enter your account ID and choose your region. Again, this is not as straightforward configured as cross account today, but you can swap between by entering the account ID and the region that you want in a way that works as a cross account, cross region. But we don't have a seamless way to be able to do it. Or can you view your log events just because you selected a particular region? But again, if we have set it up as metric filters and they show up in a dashboard, that's fine. You will be able to see it cross region. That is one of the ways some of our customers have navigated cross region.
And then additionally, one question is, can they see X-ray in a monitoring account, in the monitoring account?
Traces, yes, you can see traces in your monitoring account. So the first copy of Trace is delivered for free, and there is a cost associated with the rest. So please refer to our CloudWatch pricing to understand the cost breakdown with Traces. And again, with the monitoring account, any queries that you run or any usage that you do with Livetail, again, the standard charges apply as it would for the source account. But there is no cost of using the feature itself for logs metrics and the first copy of Traces.
All right, terrific. Feel free to
Okay.
continue.
Okay, perfect. So let me show you what I had here. So you have your log groups. So this is what shows the difference between it being a monitoring account or not. So you can see the monitoring account on top, and then you have the account label of which account ID it came from. So this is how you know whether it's a monitoring account, which account it came from, where do these log groups belong. Again, we just did the setup here, but I did want to show you an account where there are a couple more log groups and accounts linked so that you know how it looks like at a larger scale. Okay, let me go to this account. Okay, again, logging out from this one, and I'm going to move this account here. I just want to make sure this is the right account. Okay, perfect. So I just want to show you how the configuration looks like when there are multiple accounts. So this is an example that I briefly spoke about in the past. So this is a monitoring account because there are a lot of accounts that's being configured. If you go to manage monitoring account, you can see there are 5 accounts that we have configured with this as a monitoring account, but this serves as a source account for some other monitoring account as well. So you view linked monitoring account and then you see an account. So what this means is if this serves as a monitoring account, now there is a lot of log groups that is already shared to this monitoring account, right? And there are a lot of log groups that exist in the monitoring account. For instance, this is a log group within this monitoring account versus these log groups are shared from other source accounts. Now, when you set this up as a source account for another monitoring account, only the log groups that belong to this account get shared. Like these log groups will not be shared. These log groups only stay in this monitoring account. And this is what I wanted to like talk through earlier. Hope this made it much clearer. So now if you look at this, like I mentioned, we have 5 monitoring accounts and then the source account, again, view linked monitoring account. The limit that we have with setting up is 5 in this. So there is 1 here. Now, if I go to log groups, this is how it looks like. Like you can view all the log groups and you see all the log groups shared across all of these accounts and then across all your log classes as well. One thing that Michael touched on earlier was the infrequent access log class. So irrespective of the log class, you can see both the log groups shown in here. Livetail is supported for monitoring account. Now let me walk you through probably a sample query of how easy it might be to query. So say I'm trying to like select a bunch of log groups. Like I just need to select it. Like I can select it. As you can see, the standard is the log class. And then you have the account name itself and the account ID. So you exactly can select instead of drilling down to each of these accounts and manually querying them. Now you have the option of selecting them across the accounts that you need. And then probably let's select, maybe I want to use a sample query, view latency stats for 5-minute intervals. I apply and then I run, and then it gets much easier to see the data across all of these accounts without having to have manually run this query across 5 different individual accounts. So this is how logs insights could be helpful. So and then you can see monitoring account here. And again, one thing that I mentioned earlier, if you go to some other region and then view it, you see that there is no log group here. So you would be able to view it only for North Virginia. Let me briefly pause there. Any questions in the chat, Michael?
Yes. One question was, oh, never mind. Sorry, the previous question was rescinded. And then with regards to the Q&A, I'm just pulling that up real quick. Do log anomalies and log insights work on all incoming read shared logs?
Define reshared logs. Like shared logs, I get it. You mean shared from source account to monitoring account? Do they work? Absolutely, they do. Reshared in the sense if that is a source, that is a monitoring account forwarding it to a source account, in that case, it will not work. What I mean is if you set it up as a source account and monitoring account, the regular way, yes, go to monitoring account like how we have here, it will work here. Now, if I try to like go back to my settings and then I think of a way of forwarding all the log groups that set up in this account that is shared from other accounts to another source account, is that what reshare means? If that is the case, it will not work. But if you set it up as a monitoring account, it should work.
Great. And then let's see here. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know one of our colleagues is answering some of these questions in real time, so I'll give it that a second and I'll jump right into Bisa if we need additional follow-up or clarification.
Okay, sounds good. I think this pretty much covers what I was trying to share as well. I wanted to like briefly touch on the view cross account cross region, but as part of Q&A, we briefly did. So there are three ways in which you can set it up: account ID input, AWS organization account selector, or custom account selector. And then you can see which one works for you, and then you can show it and then enable it. Once you do that in your dashboard, you should be able to view, oops, I spoke without selecting it. So once you have it in your dashboard and then you enable it, and you should be, like I mentioned, you should be able to select which account ID and region. And then if you have dashboards created, you should be able to view them all. I think this ends the demo, but we'll be happy to talk through any questions that you have in Q&A.
All right, so thank you so much, Bisa, for the demonstration.
Sure.
And as
there was
we're
a question on, real quick, there was a question on Terraform support. So that is not something that we have today. It is in the works, so it should be out shortly. And then there was a feedback that we had on, can you add the account name in the view so that we do not have to remember the raw account IDs while searching? That's a great feedback. So we will take that in. And there was one last question on maybe the cost aspect of how do we feel about CloudWatch comparing to third-party tooling. Again, you need to do a TCO of what exactly are you trying to do within your logging solution. With CloudWatch, we have two log classes, one standard and the other is infrequent access. You can do your cost and feature trade-off with, say, are you looking for EMF support? Are you looking for metric filter, subscription filter? Like, what are the capabilities that you're looking for so that you can pick your right log class? And based on your utility and features, you can likely land on which one that you want to select. So we do have that. And in standard law class, like we have a lot more capabilities that Michael earlier walked through with the launches that we have had and the velocity of how we have increased. So CloudWatch as an observability solution, we are launching more features and the velocity is increasing a lot over a period of time. Yeah,
Bisa, I'll give you some more time. And I'll give you some more time if there's any additional questions coming up in the Q&A or the chat. We are getting to the last couple minutes of this session. For those of you that have time, please feel free to scan this QR code to provide feedback to this webinar. We're really excited to be able to share with customers how we're progressing on this topic. And this will give us some good feedback on how we can continue to improve for future events. We will be hosting a log-specific webinar in 2 weeks. So we hope to have you all attend there, and feel free to let your friends know about it as well. So I'll give one more minute before we share an additional slide with links to available workshops too that you can attend on your own time. All right, last chance to provide the feedback to the survey. And I really appreciate everyone's time here. We do have some additional links for workshops and best practices guide, which we will share with this group offline. Thank you everyone for your time here. We really appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be sending the links to the survey and the workshops after this meeting, as well as we'll be posting this to YouTube for reference. That might take several weeks, but we'll let you know once that's available. Thanks again for your time, and I hope you all have a great week and enjoy this spring weather.